About 2.5 weeks now before Election Day, and Michigan has seen a massive increase in both absentee ballots requested and ballots that have been returned so far. Mara McDonald live in the News Center area tonight. Mara, over the years, those who vote at the polls versus those who vote absentee, this has changed drastically.
It really has shifted, Devin, and the guys and women who crunch the data on this will tell you in Michigan, 80% of GOP voters vote at the polls in person versus Democrats, where 55% vote absentee. First, let's talk about some numbers. As of this week, the Michigan Department of State says it has received 1.6 million absentee ballot requests and 432,000 plus have been returned. Now, last gubernatorial in 2018 at this same time, look at the numbers and look at the difference.
We're looking at, the potential of another record election.
That's a lot of absentee ballots to count, and typically the absentees are inputted later in the night. In Detroit this year, that will not be the case, and it's due to changes in the law which allow clerks 2 days prior to the election to prepare the absentees for tabulating.
We'll begin tabulating those absentee ballots, and every ballot that we have processed and tabulated up until 8 o'clock, we'll have the opportunity to download that data, upload it onto a flash drive, deliver it to the Department of Elections, where they will transmit it via telephone line to Wayne County so that you'll have early reports on absentees.
How early? Probably before 10. It will be the in-person votes that will roll in gradually throughout the evening. But that's only what Detroit is doing. Each community charts its own course, and typically absentees come in a big chunk at the end.
I think we're on track for having another situation like we did in 2020. So what you're going to see is early returns are going to be very favorable to Republicans because, again, 80% of them are voting at the ballot box. As absentees start to be counted and come in, then potentially the margin of victory that Republicans think they have is going to dwindle. And again, that's just a repeat of 2020.
Back here live, I can tell you that when I started reporting 30 years ago, every election night was the same thing. First question, when you looked at those vote totals, are the absentees counted in here? And if they were not, you knew that there were going to be a tremendous amount of more conservative voters that were going to have to be counted into the mix. Michigan GOP used to have a tremendous absentee ballot program. We're live in the News Center tonight. I'm Mara McDonald. Local 4.
This is fascinating, Mara. So Dennis Darnoy is talking about what we've referred to now as the red mirage, the switch. If Detroit's new system works, though, it would be the opposite in Detroit then, theoretically, right?
Theoretically, it would be the opposite in Detroit, although I would argue that you wouldn't expect to have a huge Republican turnout in Detroit anyway.
Right.
But it certainly would not be, 2 a.m. the absentees are coming in say, like, what we've seen in the past. You have a tight Senate race and you're wondering where it's going to go and you get this huge dump of ballots. That is not going to roll this time.
Yeah.
They're going to have those absentees up front at the beginning of the evening.
Gives us a lot to watch on the election night bingo card. All right, Mara.